You are not special. Well, maybe that's a bit much. You're probably unique and special in several other ways, but your cutie mark might not be. A big part of growing up for any pony in Equestria is getting your cutie mark and finding out what your one special talent in life is. It's considered such a big deal that fillies and colts are often bullied for simply being the last in their class to get their mark. Being a late bloomer as far as discovering your special talent goes is nothing to bully some pony about, especially not with kids. The same goes for bullying ponies over what special talent they actually get once they have their cutie mark and saying it's not special. But Lumin, isn't that exactly what you did at the start of this video? Well, yes, I'm just a hypocrite. But this video is about the rarest cutie mark after all, and in order to find out what cutie mark is the most special, there are going to be a lot of cutie marks that I'll consider to not be very special. And with that, let's just get this video started and let's bully some kids! So, we're looking for a one-of-a-kind cutie mark talent, something so special that only one pony in all of Equestria can do it. Therefore, we can immediately rule out several groups of ponies. First off, every pony who got magic as a cutie mark. There is literally a whole school dedicated to you gifted kids and wannabe princesses to practice at. Probably one of the most powerful cutie marks, sure, but not special in the slightest. Secondly, fruit families. In the very first episode alone, we are already introduced to Apple Fritter, Apple Bumpkin, Red Gala, Red Delicious, Golden Delicious, Caramel Apple, Apple Strudel, Apple Tart, Baked Apples, Apple Brioche, Apple Cinnamon Crisp, Big Macintosh, Applebloom, and Granny Smith. We don't meet many other fruit families during the show, but considering they all have their own farms and businesses to maintain all over Equestria, I assume they have similar sized families. And third, which is kinda obvious, we're excluding any sort of common jobs. We see a lot of ponies in jobs like construction, as bakers, waiters, and even the Wonderbolts mostly all have cutie marks for flying. To be honest, this part alone eliminates like 90% of all the ponies we see in the show. So with these groups ruled out, you could still make an argument for some of the Apple family members to have the most unique cutie mark. For example, there's likely not going to be any other pony in Equestria that has a cutie mark for baking apple fritters. So that makes it one of a kind, right? While technically true, the associated talent with the cutie mark isn't necessarily special. With how many of the apples specialize in baking, I'm sure all of them know how to make almost all of the apple pastries. And same goes for pastry chefs and hobby bakers all around the land. So then what about celebrities? They're so good at their cutie mark talent that it's gained them status and fame. That should make them special, right? Well, yes, it's definitely impressive how well versed these celebrities seem to be in their cutie mark talent. However, for the purpose of this video, they get caught up in the same problem as the Apple family members have. While you might be the best at acting, photography, fashion, or whatever made you famous, that doesn't exclude any regular pony from picking up a camera or a sewing machine to also practice this skill. It wouldn't even matter if it's their cutie mark talent or not. Even a hobbyist photographer or actor would still lower the uniqueness of their cutie mark. So then who even is left? I asked around and talked about it with a friend for a bit, who mentioned Fluttershy almost immediately. Her ability to speak to animals seems to come from her cutie mark talent, and more importantly, seems to be completely unique to her. So is Fluttershy's cutie mark the rarest? To give a simple and definitely not confusing answer, yes and no. Her cutie mark talent does appear to be a one-of-a-kind, but you've all probably seen that this video is not even halfway done yet. So what gives? Well, just because she might be the only one to be able to speak to animals doesn't mean her talent is the most unique. There are also other ponies who have special connections with animals through their cutie marks, like Dr. Fauna for example. This doesn't necessarily devalue how special Fluttershy's cutie mark talent is, and she remains in the top spot, but it does present a challenge. What cutie mark is both one of a kind and is additionally the furthest removed from any other kind of talent we see in the show? Two ponies that immediately come to mind are the royal sisters, Luna and Celestia. More specifically, Celestia. Luna moves the moon, while Celestia does the same for the sun. However, Celestia also has the power to move the moon, as she did for 1,000 years during Luna's banishment. It seems like Luna is once again overshadowed by her big sister, as she simply appears to be more powerful and gifted. But Luna and Celestia's power are still very similar. Different celestial bodies, but the same vibe. So then the question becomes, is the difference between being able to move the sun versus the moon more significant than Fluttershy and Dr. Fauna's difference of being able to talk to animals and just take care of them? And honestly, as surprising as it might be, I think Fluttershy keeps first place for now. The sun and the moon are very different, obviously. However, it's the same kind of magic, being able to move a celestial body. Meanwhile, it seems that being able to talk to animals versus just loving and taking care of them are two completely separate things. Perhaps we should take a look at the villains. They always seem to have a very unique design and motivation. Let's see what's at our disposal. Okay, Nightmare Moon just has the same cutie mark as Luna. That's not a pony. That's magic as a cutie mark. That's also not a pony. That's just Discord disguised as a pony. I don't think we ever learn what Sombra's cutie mark is, even if he has one, since he's technically not a pony. That's not a pony. That's another magic as a cutie mark. That's a goat? And that's just Spike! Ugh! Alright, the villains are useless, as per usual. The only relevant pony villain I can think of is Cozy Glow, but we never really learn what her cutie mark means or does. Maybe the rook is a symbolization of her ability to fly under the radar and pretending to be reliable and trustworthy. Basically just being manipulative and using others? I don't know. Regardless, being manipulative isn't something I would consider to be special enough to rival Fluttershy or Celestia in this context. Perhaps an argument could be made for Zecora, if we can call this a cutie mark at least. And even then, do we know what her cutie mark talent would be? I assume it's something along the lines of alchemy or potion making, as we know her rhyming was self-taught. Regardless, I don't think there are any other alchemists that we really see during the show. The closest thing I can think of is Mage Meadowbrook, one of the pillars that are introduced in Season 7. They seem to both be involved in potion making or alchemy in their own way, but they don't seem very similar. So then, which of the two deserves a spot on the podium? Zecora or Meadowbrook? I was originally tempted to say Meadowbrook just because she's one of the pillars and probably a lot more talented at alchemy, but it also seems like Meadowbrook mostly specializes in healing potions, whereas Zecora seems to have a wider area of knowledge, like being able to make Rarity's bottle of shampoo or Pinky's cleaning potion. Though considering they at least still partially share the ability to make medicine and other sorts of healing potions, I think I'll put Zecora right below Celestia for now. So then, is Fluttershy just the most unique? Well, it seems like it for now, but maybe we'll think of some pony better. And while we do that, let's take a look at some of the cutie marks that weren't featured in the show. A little over 2 weeks ago, I asked you guys to show me your cutie marks and what special talent comes with them. So let's take a look and see if we can find some unique ones in all of the submissions we got. Editing Lumin quickly interrupting here. On the topic of video submissions and forms, there is a form open to submit your favorite episode in G4 or G5. This is for a massive video of series and polls I'll be working on in the upcoming 5 to 6 months. The form is only going to be available for the next 24 hours after this video goes live, so make sure to fill it out if you haven't already. There is a link at the top of the description, and with that, let's get back to the video. There were a couple of themes on which I saw quite a few entries. Those being magic, music, art, and AV or content creation related cutie marks. Which all kind of makes sense, to be honest. Art, magic, and music are very big parts of the show and community, and you know, everyone who filled out the form and submitted their characters were already watching a smaller pony creator, so there's a good chance they've at least dabbled in content creation themselves. There were also 2 people who submitted an AI-generated character, which I will not be featuring further, but to them I would recommend taking a look at the description of my videos, as there tends to be a whole list of artists credited in there. Go see if you like any of their art styles, and maybe commission something if you're able to. For our first singular submission, we have this ice cream cone cutie mark from a character named Sweet Sundae. This character was submitted by Sonny, who describes them as being an ice cream sales pony who has one of those portable ice cream carts that she uses to travel around Equestria with. First thoughts? That's really adorable. I always love it when the characters are more down to earth. Not every pony has to be some all-powerful being with godlike powers. After all, if that were the case, where would we get our ice cream? Although, if you meant it like you're one of those Turkish ice cream men who borderline traumatize kids with their annoying little sleight of hand tricks, I take back everything I just said. Fuck that. Regardless, I'd say a traveling ice cream shop definitely comes close to a one-of-a-kind cutie mark. We know ice cream exists in MLP because Rarity goes through like 10 tubs a day when she has another episode, but we never really see any ice cream outside of those tubs. So just selling regular ice cream cones? Definitely up there. I actually think I'll place Sweet Sundae in second place right below Fluttershy for now. Next up, we have an Alicorn OC called Kara Midnight. They describe their character as coming from another world where only alicorns have cutie marks, and that the talent they got from that was imagination, meaning they can learn and perform any spell that they can imagine. And while that sounds pretty cool and all, I can't help but think, what makes that any different from a regular unicorn who got magic as their cutie mark in Equestria? They're able to cast a bunch of spells too. Sure, it might be a little bit easier for you having to just imagine them instead of studying them, but as far as uniqueness goes, I'm afraid it's just not going to make the cut this time around. Following that, we have a pony called Starset, submitted by Quantum, whose special talent is making magical amulets, like the ones the hippogriffs use to change into their aquatic form. And honestly, that's an insanely cool cutie mark talent. We see plenty of magical medallions or artifacts throughout the show, but we never really learn where any of them came from. They always just sort of existed. The idea that there is some pony making all of these items, or even spending their life just making a few very powerful ones, is really, really cool to me. Same goes for it being unique. I'm not even sure if we see some pony like Star Swirl ever create magical artifacts. The closest thing we have is the portal to the mirror universe we see in the comics, I suppose. But I think Starset's cutie mark here can easily be moved to first place. Sorry, Fluttershy. We have 2 more viewer cutie marks to go, and the first of which is a character named Comet Tail. They were submitted by someone who apparently didn't read the forum questions quite well enough, because at the question where I asked how they want to be credited, they just wrote, sure. So I guess this is Comet Tail's cutie mark, submitted by Shore. It's described that his cutie mark magic makes his blue mane spark like a comet, which combined with him running fast would look like it's the trail of a comet. And that's a very cool idea, I must admit, but I don't really think it's unique enough to claim a spot on the podium at this point. After all, there are several Pegasi we see in the show who have a custom trail like that, like Rainbow Dash or Lightning Dust for example. And lastly, one that I personally found very entertaining, we have Hazy Daze's cutie mark submitted by sugarrByte. And their cutie mark talent is, as they themselves described it in the show, growing and curating plants, specifically hallucinogenic ones. And honestly, fair enough, man. We can already assume that Equestria also has some of that devil's lettuce because, you know, Treehugger. So if it's your special talent to make some of that good stuff, power to you. As for uniqueness though, technically any pony who is a hobbyist gardener can probably grow this stuff. Most ponies probably won't, which adds some level of uniqueness to it, but in my opinion, not enough to claim a spot on the stage. Sorry. Now, that was it for the viewer submission segment, but like I said before that, we were going to think if we could find someone who is more unique from the show. And I think I want to put one pony in the spotlight, and it's actually some pony we've already briefly covered earlier in this video. Besides being able to move the moon with her cutie mark magic, Luna also gets the ability to access and manipulate the dream world. Or, well, manipulate other ponies' dreams in the dream world. As far as I'm aware, and I'm sure you'll all correct me if I'm wrong, there is not a single other pony who has an ability even closely related to dream magic that we see in the show. That combined with her already somewhat unique ability to move the moon, makes me feel like she deserves a first place. Also, since I briefly covered Luna in the beginning and didn't mention the dream stuff there, I'm sure there's going to be some upset comments of people who didn't finish the video telling me that I completely missed the most important part of Luna's special talent. So make sure you keep an eye out for those. Anyways, that was it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed.